This 2015 has been both exciting and challenging for those watching the scope of international education. The United Nations released a comprehensive 15-year report on its Education for All goals, tracking development in education around the world, with highlights being Ghana's primary school education developments and Nepal's adult literacy improvements, but also noting large funding gaps for the projected future developments. Asia is pushing back on the record amount of brain drain in the region by working with groups like the OECD to beef up its university profiles, raising the stakes for Western university funding and challenging future trends in international student exchange. Despite heightened fears of terror, the United States government encouraged students to study abroad and welcomed international students through its new Study Abroad website. As Chile rewrites its constitution, students in the region are hopeful that their voices have been heard as their protests that rocked the country for almost a decade might finally come to an end. U.S. institutions increased conversations for more academic exchange possibilities in both Iran and Cuba. Africa hosted its first higher education summit in Senegal this year in an effort to find the collective means to improve quality and enrollment. Women in Saudi Arabia set the future of education and rights for women in motion by voting for the first time. Kenya led one of the largest teacher strikes this year, with the courts ruling favorably on their pay raise, but government failing to fulfill the ruling. Common Core and testing take a hit in the United States as President Obama signed the Every Student Succeeds Act into law. Academics speaking for rights face increased challenges, as even an NYU professor was barred from Abu Dhabi after speaking out on labor rights violations in the building of NYU's branch campus, listing just one of 333 unresolved violations in the Scholars at Risk Free to Think report released this past June. We end with one of the biggest stories this year. The crisis in Syria created an estimated 4.3 million refugees, with about half being children, leading to new surges in the number of out-of-school children, with many advocacy groups and legislators calling for support for the future of these lost students. They still remain uncertain. That was our brief recap of 2015. Wishing you a happy new year from New York City, I'm Jenny Abamu with IENN.